evening, everybody. I would like you all to welcome Eldor, Masterversal
Good
Toy
evening.
Hunter, to the show. How is everybody doing tonight? How are you doing tonight, Eldor?
Yes, doing fine there. Sorry for my lateness there. It took a while to climb the steps there at Castle Grayskull there.
It happens. It happens. It happens to the best of us.
Especially in my old age there. I should have taken the elevator. What?
Well, it happens. Could be worse, right?
Indeed.
Oh, all right. So what we're going to do, we're going to start off with our pickups. So what did you pick up this week?
I left it all downstairs there.
You can just tell us, because I have a feeling it's going to be good stuff, because I know there
Indeed.
was a lot of boxes there.
Yes, quite a few. So, yes, I got King Grayskull there from Masterverse. He was
okay.
a bit of an option there. Didn't come in the box, mind you. But yes, so he arrived, and what else have we there? Oh yes, Thunder Punch He-Man. He came in there too. I don't usually collect the variants there. Just the core characters, but you see, he was nicely coloured there, and the vac metal a shield there, and so forth. And the person I got the King Grayskull off there, he or she put in a little extra piece there of the Eternia Minis He-Man. So, bit of a surprise there. And of course, they're catching up some more with the Rise of Evil 2-pack. Of course, the proto forms there of a Skeletor.
Yeah, and I like those figures. They're actually decent. Yeah, I like those. I like the Keldor head.
The Skeletor head that comes with him looks interesting. The eyes look a little bit translucent in there. I wonder if there's a bit of a light piping going on, perhaps. Those of you in the Transformers community will know all about that, indeed.
Yeah. So I got
a bit
some of
cosmic,
my
is it?
Legions.
Oh, yes.
Got a few of them, just the ones that I wanted. I didn't get them all because it's not, there's sometimes that you got to get something.
As far as the old gold stretches, I suppose.
Yeah, it's just more of, I get the ones that really speak to me, the ones that I like the way they look. I like the accessories. If it's just a little too weird, even for me, I probably won't get it. So I got some pretty standard ones, but I had to get the ogre scale. There was just something cool about the four-armed guy. I mean, it was just cool.
Oh, yes, good to have
so I had to get him because I need somebody to be, big, mean, monstrous guy, and it's aliens. So, and then of course I got my Python Patrol, Crimson Guards that are more like bright yellow Crimson Guards. That I'm not.
That's more Sergeant Sloudor's.
Yes, Sergeant Seldor than that. But we're gonna say hi to the chat, and then I understand you have something special in mind.
Maybe a little bit down the track.
There. Okay, you let me know when you're ready.
When things get a bit more revealed, shall we
say?
Okay.
Action Figs is here with us tonight. Then there's this guy. I don't know. I don't know if we should trust him.
Who's that fellow there?
And Carol is here. She has joined us.
Good evening,
Carol. Allison Troy.
Allison Troy is.
Young lady, how are you? Nolan, what's up?
You're not Nolan if you're not with Nolan.
Yeah. Jeremy J is telling us to have a great show. Yeah, you should have taken the Eldor Vader. Cobweb has joined us.
Evening,
and Ryu has joined us.
What are you? Hello there, sir.
So, Elder, you've watched a few of my shows. You know that generally when we start the show, we have this thing. Do you know what a Venn diagram is?
Yes, I've seen you go through that before. I'm all nice and comfortable down on my a Sigmund Freud chair there.
All right. So our Myers Briggs chart for geek nerds and dorks. This is for all of us there. So if we have a high IQ and an obsession, we're generally considered a geek.
Oh, I see.
If we have a high IQ and we're socially awkward, we're considered a dork.
Hmm.
If we have an
Who comes up
obsession,
with these names? What?
I know it's awful, isn't it? If we have an obsession and we're socially awkward, we're likely to become a stalker.
Oh,
And then if we have all three, a high IQ, we're socially awkward, and we're mildly obsessed, we tend to be a nerd. So where do you think you fall
yes.
in that spectrum?
Well, we leave the stalking for the old hunting trips there, catching the old wild boar and what have you.
Yeah.
Uh,
We do
I
venture
suppose.
into that when we go toy hunting, right? That's when you start going into the
Yes.
stalking. You're stalking the clerks, like, where's my toys? Where's my toys?
oh, but nothing like old Skeletor's stilt stalkers there. Oh.
So
I suppose I'll be all one of the three there. Bit of a nerd, shall we say?
okay. Well, that's kind of where I fit.
Hmm.
I am socially awkward. The IQ is there. The obsession with toys is there. You just ask my wife. She gets to listen to me yammer on about toys. She just drones it out and just like, okay. So one of
Jolly
the
good
things
day.
that I do is I talk about the importance of play as an adult. And it doesn't matter what kind of play it is. But specifically because we're toy collectors, we tend to play with our toys.
Yes, you
But
do.
to define that as a play state, this is kind of the definition that I work for when we're in a play state. And it's a state of mind that you're absorbed in the activity that you're doing. It's providing you enjoyment, and you lose sense of time. You have a suspension of time. It's not there. You're not paying attention. You're not looking at your watch. You're not anxious about it.
What's the watch there, sir? Do you mean a time dial there? A
Yes, the
sundial?
time dial, Heldor.
Oh, yes, we have one
So,
of those. Oh,
by
yes, I
that
know all about the time
definition,
there.
when was the last time that you played?
Oh, it's probably several hundred years ago. Uh, the old I sometimes I looked in on Earth there from time to time and learned about the culture there and what they like and what they watch there on the peculiar TV sets, I believe you say. Uh, and yes, so one was serial there called the Star Treks,
Mm hmm.
and so
Mm
forth.
hmm.
So yes, I got quite into that. Or old beam me up, Scotty, and oh, Captain Kirk there. What factor one there, Mister Sulu? You know, and and that and yes, so I thought I might collect a few of the Star Trek ships there. So in my quiet days when I'm a bit bored, I pick up an old Enterprise or two and whiz them about and
Mm hmm.
have the old imaginary star fights there, star battles, and so forth. So you see, with them there, watching out for the Klingons and what have you. But I suppose, oh, yes, that
So,
was probably the last time I played. But I've been busy there, working on a few projects for a few people, so that tends to dull the play down somewhat.
you got to make sure you make some time to play because doing too much
Hmm.
sometimes you can forget to take that time where you need to recharge the batteries a little bit.
Yes, I've been working too hard indeed. It's
Yeah.
gone into my old YouTube reviews there as well. These are very important jobs I have on there, but it's, from time to time though. Just last week I was uh, reorganizing my collections there, trying to get
See, and
things
that's
sorted
playing.
out and how I might like them to look. I'm still working on that though. Hoping to get some new
So,
shelves to put things on because the problem with toys, they soon melt up with all these
Oh
releases
yeah.
coming out, and you soon run out of the old space. And I'm contemplating about removing some of the Masterverse boxes from one of the top shelves there to plonk this 40th 2 pack, He-Man versus Skeletor
Hmm.
2 pack up there instead. And I've started also cutting out the art off those Masterverse boxes, so I think I might do that with those.
Yeah,
And
I have those.
cut the art off there.
Yeah, the boxes. I cut the boxes and put them up above where I do my custom work.
Oh
So they're
yes,
kind of like a little
I
art
do try to save the
inspirational area.
plastic though. I push the plastic out there because you can reuse that for other things. Perhaps
Yeah. Well,
your
the
stained
plastic
glass
makes a
windows and your dioramas there and so
yeah,
forth. Do a bit
and
of
they make a
recycling
good
there.
they make a good paint.
Oh
My
yes.
brain just went completely blank. Wow, that's impressive. Uh,
Oh, you've been working too hard, I think. Also.
who knows? At this point, who knows what I'm doing? So okay, we'll go back to the questions. So, when you were a child, what were your favorite ways to play?
Oh well, well. Oh yes, I had old toys as most of us did, and had the old. I didn't have much though, mind you. Uh, had a few odds and ends like two of the Dino Riders figures. So I had Emperor Krulos and one of the human-like fellows there. Didn't have any of the dinosaurs, mind you, and then it was Transformers. Had a few of those, and oh yes, I think I had one of the little small Voltron fellows, and there was one transforming truck. I think it was a bit electric there, and it
Yeah.
goes on the floor, and when it reaches a certain point, it jumps up at you and becomes a robot. I remember that one. But yes, I had the Legos too, building all the forts and spaceships there with folding out wings and secret compartments and what have you, doing all that stuff with the Lego. And yes, then came all the old Nintendo 64s there, the old console games. So when I had my first job, I got one of those from cash converters there, one of the second hand places. Got a few games, and then that lasted for a while. And uh, uh, got rid of that, and then we had the old Great Eye of the Universe there, the computer.
Hmm.
So yes, the play evolved over time, but yes, the toys still remain there from time to time, from your Ninja Turtles there and what have you.
So those childhood toy lines that you just kind of mentioned, um, are there any of those toys from your childhood that made it to your collection currently?
No, no, sadly, it's all lost to the wind there.
All else to the wind.
It's a
So
shame, though. I hear many of you fellows who managed to save your toys there, or your parents have got them up in the attic and or in the garage and whatnot, or some of you have been unfortunate to lose everything and maybe a bit of a disaster there, bit of
yeah,
sad
some of them
news
do.
there. But mm.
Yeah, no, most
Yes, I saw a fellow here. I think he had a flood come through there, or a bit of a no, it was a water pipe burst. He had to
hmm.
race all his Mythic Legions figures outside there to dry the old footpath.
Oh,
Ooh,
that's awful. That is awful.
indeed.
So, are there any of those toys from your childhood that you're still wanting to get a hold of that you're trying to find?
Well, funny, I didn't mention that. I did have Prince Adam and a Skeletor there when I was a little boy. And then, I think they were both second-hand, mind you. The Prince Adam one was given to me by my father's friend there. We went visiting their house. So I
Mm.
had he didn't have his vest on or anything like that, or his power sword and so forth. Just loosey goosey there. So I had those for a number of years, and I think my parents brought me the Stilt Stalkers for Skeletal there, and so I had those too. And yes, they're sadly all gone there to the ether also. But that all changed, I guess, when the older Origins came out. But well before then, I got into the old classics there by Mr. Bix
Mm-hmm.
Tordan. He was doing all the classics at the time and
Mm-hmm.
putting his reviews up there, and so I found it. Oh, sorry, there's a bit of a wind raider flying over the Castle Grayskull there. If you hear that noise.
Right. Well,
Anyway, I started buying a few of the classics there. So I had Preternia Disguise, He-Man, Caldor, King Randor, Procrustus, who's a big fellow, and
mm-hmm.
who else there? Uh, Caldor, Hurricane Hordak. I had a loose Grislaw there, and Mosquito. He was still a minted package, and at the same time, I was buying the vintage figures. So yes, I had
Yeah.
a good little pile of those, and yes, I ended up having to sell those, unfortunately. But oh, not it was last year, I believe. And the fellow I sold the classics mosquito to. Of course, I sold my vintage mosquito with it. You see, but
Yeah.
yes, he put it back up there, and I had to check through all the history in there, do all the hard work. And yes, it was the very same fellow I sold that figure to, and he was putting it back up there for sale, still nice and minty fresh, and with his shipper box. So I thought, oh yes, I'll see if he'll let me do a buy now there. But he said, oh, I'd rather let it go, let it run its course. So
Yeah.
of course I put a bid on there, and then there was a bit of a bidding fight, and blow me down there. My great eye of the universe conked out on me, so that that indeed changed my plans somewhat. I had to use that
Can.
gold instead to buy me a new great eye of the universe there, what? So it would have been a nice story, one of those collector stories where you sold something and
Yeah.
you
And then
know
you get it
you
back.
bought it back from the same fellow. It wasn't meant to be.
That happens. I mean, we all come to that point where sometimes we have to get rid of some of our collection. But speaking of collections, we're gonna
Oh
go
yes.
through some of your stuff.
So did
Now,
I mention when the origins started back up there? I believe in 2020.
now you made this Gray Skull, right?
Yes, as you can see, it's still not quite complete yet. Still a bit of a polystyrene showing there, a bit of newspaper mache. So I need to, build up a few of the old rocks just around this area here, and then fill it down, have some lines. But I made a little cubby in there to display some
Mm-hmm.
figures, as you see here, with a
Yeah.
sorceress peeking out there.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And then some man there with the very first He-Man that came out in Origins.
It's
But yes,
fantastic.
I designed it especially to look up uh, at
Mm-hmm.
great heights. So much I did a little play on perspectives thing. You might recall the Mattel. What was it? A show they started up there, and they made that giant Castle Grayskull, He-Man, and Skeletor. Well, a few people noted that the two towers looked a bit funny. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised they did that because I did the very same thing up here. It looks like you're looking up at the towers, but I carved them in a way to make them look off skew. So
This
when they're
perspective
up
is
high, yes, when they're up high, they look
yeah.
like they had that perspective thing. So a lot of the top parts of the grey skull there are sort of shifted back a little bit, so
Yeah.
they're separate layers, like a bit of a
No, it's
staircase there.
fantastic work. It looks great. Now this is a
And there's a
vintage
bit of
collection, right?
there's a bit of I put a bit of a LED disco ball in behind there, so you can click the switch there and have all the the filmation colors zipping about the top and so forth. Oh yes, and
Here's
there's a
some of
cabinet
your
full of
inbox.
vintage things, and these are the very first Origins Skeletor and He-Man, but a later release of She-Ra, of course.
Of course. Now
And
this
yes,
is more of the whole
there's a whole
display,
piece.
including some shelves with some figures in box. So you're a little bit of both. You're both in box and out of box.
So I rather like the inbox look, all the colours with the figures there, and also reminds me of walking into a toy store. So I do like that sort of aesthetic to the collection there,
Mhm.
and having the loose figures, it fills things out. So it's not
Yeah.
just a blank space of carded figures. Oh, you say your customs, eh?
These are all your custom Masterverse, right? This is the Grizzlor, the
Indeed.
Wondar, the Coldar, and your
Oh,
namesake.
who's that fellow?
I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite
Well,
sure who that fourth
this,
person
this,
is.
this me there. With a
And
few
behind that
borrowed
is this.
parts, mind you, I got the staff there, the Mythic Legions figure, and the book came from Ori Prior from Stargate there, from the old Stargate figures from Diamond Select, I believe. Oh
Now,
yes,
this is another custom that's just fantastic.
old Jupicat there.
Yeah,
He
your
was a bit of hard
sculpting
work.
on it is fantastic. Paintwork is great. Even the LED
Yeah,
for the
but,
light.
yes, the LED in the eye. Oh, yes, I had to melt channels in there from the back. So I hold out a big
Mm,
hole at the back to put the battery pack in there, and then I had to melt a hole straight through the different sections of the neck articulation. Had to be careful
yeah.
though, not to fuse the plastic together. And then I melted a big hole on one side of the head, and continued melting that channel for the LED wire through the front there, so the LED wire came through. But it was before I melted that hole there. I put masking tape over one side of the face. Then I drew my robotic design out on the masking tape there, and made a bit of a
Mm,
pattern up, and
and
then
just,
and I traced it out on paper and bit of a packing tape to seal the paper away from the milliput epoxy putty there. I
mm-hmm.
sculpted within the pattern I had drawn out, and it's using a bit of water there, and my scalpel I just sort of slid the scalpel underneath the putty and lifted that off the tape there, and just laid that down over one side of the face until it set there, and it took its shape, and then I melted that big hole out of the side of the head there, and just inset what I had sculpted there into
It's
the head. And
fantastic. It's great work. Now here's your Masterverse shelf.
indeed, yes, you won't be seeing Revelation He-Man there. I've got the 40th instead. He's my He-Man.
Now, is
The
this a
old castle there.
vintage Grayskull next
Indeed,
to
it's
a
vintage
Origins
there,
one?
and the Origins. I got two Origins castles. One's in that main Origins bookshelf you showed before, but it's a Minton box there. But this one here
Okay.
I have loose displayed.
Now we're sticking with fantasy, but we're moving into a different company. You said
Mm.
this was your first Mythic Legions,
Indeed, a Farius there,
and
a
it's
Centaur.
definitely one that's it. They the centaurs are interesting. If I had the
Mm.
space, I would definitely get one, but they're just for
Oh
me,
yes,
they're
they're
just
almost as big
really
as the
big.
horses there. Yes.
Yeah. So it's one of those things I have to give up the horses. Now these are two customs that you did.
Yes. So in the back there we had the barbarian legion builder, and in the front the bronze dwarf legion
Hmm.
builder, by utilizing the spare Father Christmas head from the figure obscura set there. So he's King Hudan uh, of the ice mountain dwarves.
It's
Oh yes,
fantastic.
I sculpted
I
in
love the
his
color
that
choices.
detail in the shield there. Bit of a
Hmm.
spike sculpted in also. And the back there is Branta Whitehorn, is the other
All right.
custom there behind
And
him.
here we're moving into your Lord of the
Oh yes,
Rings, Hobbit, J.R.R. Tolkien. Now,
he's a fool, but an honest fool he remains. It's old
so
Gandalf there. Yeah.
yeah, it. I like the figures. These the DST ones, the Diamond Select, or are these
This is
Toy Biz?
I'm not sure. Maybe Toy Biz there.
Toy
This
Biz.
is from the Hobbit series.
Okay.
So of course we have I forget
We're
his
still
name
in the
now. The old
fantasy
Oaken
genre.
Shield something.
We're still in
Oh
the
yes, Mister
fantasy
Yip Yip.
genre, but we're
Yes,
more modern. Now, are these McFarlane toys? Or are these
indeed, Mister Yip
okay?
Yip there in his party riding on top of him there, Aang and I
Now,
forget the
is he
other
standing
names
on a
there, but
shelf or hanging from the ceiling?
Oh no, he's a bit too heavy for that. You might pull out the ceiling there. No, he's just on
You
the
know what?
shelf.
I've
I
seen
made
I've
it look
seen
like he's
stranger things.
flying though.
Still
Oh,
fantasy, and this
the
is
Dark Crystal
your
there.
Dark
Age
Crystal,
of Resistance.
the Age of
Uh,
Resistance.
I do have sparsely situated other areas there from
Yeah,
parts from the original movie Dark Crystal, and also have a few of the original pop vinyls there. Although
yeah.
they
It's
didn't
disappointing
release
that this
much of the.
didn't go past that first season because
Yes, everybody's wanting a second season there, but I suppose all that puppet work does take a bit out of you. Yes, I
yeah.
built a
So
cosplay from one of the characters here that you may slide up uh, in due course. Yes,
yeah, it was a disappointment that they didn't go to season 2. All right, now we're going into some science fiction. So you have your
indeed. So that
Battlestar
is,
Galactica
I
with your
believe that's a
RoboCop.
Mobius kit set Colonial Viper there that I put together. Still has a few decals to go on it though, and I put an LED in that so you have a light coming up from the engines and light on the console there, which a few might have seen in a little video that I made, a little stop motion type thing, or the Viper flying about my room there. So that's some play. Well, yes, last time I played, I suppose probably a good few months back, doing two of those little like how they did spaceships back in the old days, especially
Hmm.
Battlestar Galactica, where they had a portion of the fighter made and the pilot sitting
Yeah.
in there, and they had a bit of a screen in behind them with all the stars and what have
Yep.
you playing on that. So I took a little note out of that notebook there. I plonked it helps if the fighters are nice and small. Though doing the Viper there was a bit of a challenge because it's a larger ship, but I plonked them
Yeah.
on my computer screen there, and I record my camera whizzing about the room, and so I moved that file onto the Great Eye of the Universe and edited that, and then I put the fighter on top of my laptop screen as the video was playing, of course, and I do another video of that again. And yes,
Hmm.
so there's a couple of times I did have a chance to play there, I suppose you could say. The old
So
Stars Wars.
we're going from the 3 to a more focused thing. This is your Star Wars. Now, is this the Power of the Force Millennium Falcon, or is
Oh
this the
no,
one, the anniversary
that
one?
was the first Legacy Falcon there.
Oh, okay. So it's First Legacy. Okay. And
Still
is
got
this
that
a
second hand.
costume
No, that is a limited edition. Uh,
bust?
uh, it's a bust, but it's made of your latex and a bit of foam core inside there,
Oh, okay.
and it's one of several thousand. I don't know the exact number. There's a wee plaque on the front there, but I can't recall.
Okay.
But he's wearing away. He's got splits and all sorts all over, and there needs a bit of a restore there. I think.
Uh oh.
Yeah.
Well, here's some more of your Star Wars, some AT-ATs, some
Yes.
ATSTs, a few figures.
Have a signed Boba Fett Epic War statue up there beside Darth Vader, signed by Jeremy Bullock there.
Oh,
Rest
okay,
in
cool.
peace. Yes. So he was the fellow that was inside the old Boba Fett there. And this is a gaming miniature of the AT-AT. I do have the Walker. There's somewhere in front there that came with that game.
Yeah.
And it's on a bit of a space there that's segmented into little squares there where I believe you can, plonk your miniature figures there and so forth. And that is a vintage collection ATST just beside it there, the big one.
Yeah. Okay. Now here's your Star Trek that you were talking about
And you'll
earlier.
beam me up, Scotty. Yes.
So these are your
So those are
ships.
all most of the electronic ones. Except the Enterprise, the small Enterprise C. There's a kit set piece,
Okay.
but all the rest of them, all the electronic
Now
ships and
here's
what
your
have you.
shuttlecraft with your figures.
Yes, I believe that's the old Galoob shuttlecraft, and then there's a Galoob Riker next to it there. And then we had all the Playmates figures beside most of the bridge crew. And there's speaking of old Scotty there he is,
Yep.
giving it all he's got.
He's on there.
And a few of the Diamond Select Picard and Data just behind them.
Okay. And this is your
Yeah.
Doctor Who collection.
The old Doctor
It's
Who,
pretty
yes.
got a TARDIS at least, and you got some
We're going
doctors
to
in
have
the
the
center
TARDIS in
there.
there. There are some figures just below in the glass case there
Yeah, I can see that
of
right here.
all the new character options figures there made in the UK, I
Yeah,
believe.
it's one of those things that's weird. I don't know why they don't make more. You would think that that would be like a no-brainer to make figures for Doctor Who, but whatever. I guess it makes doesn't make sense. I don't know. Seemed to me
Oh,
like it would make
yes,
more
they did.
sense.
Character options. Then they made. They started making all the new series Doctor Who figures, and they moved to the classic figures, which I believe they're still pumping out there, but in box sets. I had one of those of the Brigadier and Joe, and one of the Exxon aliens. But I do have a few of the old vintage Dapol Doctor Who figures.
Okay.
Oh, there he goes. Oh,
Here is your Unicron. Now, is this the
he
Hasbro?
finds you a bargaining posture rather dubious, sir.
This isn't the HasLab one. This is the one that they did, or is this the
No, this
Masterpiece
is
one?
the Studio Cell Pumpkin.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
it was
I
the
I
Studio
was
Cell first, and then Pumpkin was the second one that was the more cartoon accurate colors.
yeah.
Yeah, yes,
Here's
old
your
Dinobot there. That's
yeah.
a knockoff version though. He's got his golden disc there.
They call them knockoffs, but the third party ones in some instances are even
Yes,
better than the
some of them are
original.
knocking
So
them out of the park there, indeed.
yeah,
But I haven't transformed them, so I'm too scared. A few fellows have
I
reported
don't
broken
blame you.
pieces there.
They can be
But
pricey. Now here's your Devastator.
there were two. There were two companies that knocked off the Dinobot there. One had more covering in the old bottom there, where this one didn't have that. And there's the old third party figure. Is it Jim Bow?
Yeah,
Devastator there. Oh, he's a heavy one. He has to lean back against the old wall there.
and this is Devastator. It's a great looking Devastator. Now this is a third party as well, right?
Indeed, yes,
Okay,
Jim Bow.
it's fantastic. Now here's your Teletran one display with Blur, Wheeljack, Cup. I
Autobots, roll out and
Now your
transform.
Optimus is that?
Indeed.
Yeah, that's a third party Optimus, isn't it?
Oh no, that's Hasbro. The Hasbro's there.
Is it?
All of those are Hasbro's except for Teletran One. That's a third party piece.
Uh, Okay, because I just that coloration just looks it just looks
Probably
weird, I
the
guess.
lighting I was in there, maybe.
I almost wanted to say it looked like a Super 7 kind of plasticky.
Oh, I see.
So
Oh no, all these fellows transform there.
okay. Now here's some
Yes,
more of your
oh,
diorama work,
yes.
which is just fantastic. I love the
Spare no
Tyrannosaur.
expense there, sir.
Now I'm assuming this out here is like the Jurassic Park van, maybe.
No,
I
there's
can't
some
tell.
rocks there, and
That's just rocks. Okay.
there's a Tyrannosaurus Rex there with a baby. There's a bit of a
But yeah,
tree that I
no, I
made
love
there.
your dial work. This is what I'm going to be doing with my shelves. I want to do something that's like a scene and then
Hmm.
they're all there together and it doesn't, it looks dynamic and, it can still expand.
So those
And
bushes there and the rocks are ones you can get with like your plastic animal sets there that you get in the
no,
old
I love the
bargain shop
gates.
for and whatever.
I love
Yeah.
the fence looks. That's very much that movie and you got the little warning sign on it. It looks great.
Yeah, so the fences are from the original Jurassic Park command playset there. I had the gate and the command centers elsewhere because it won't fit in this lot of shelves here, unfortunately. Still working on that though.
And here's some more.
A few of the flying ones and the raptors there,
Yeah.
and then the T
Your
Rex.
flying dinos.
So those ones I had hanging up there, bit of a screw eyelet at the top shelf there, and they just hang down, minding their own business.
Whatever works as long as you get them to fit in there and you can display them. Now this was the one that kind of caught my eye.
Yes, Mister Tracy.
The Thunderbirds. I remember watching this show routinely as a kid. I thought it was just fascinating, the marionettes. I mean, they were always just a little bit weird on how they moved and everything else, but it was interesting.
Oh, they got even weirder though. By the time one of the other shows there, they actually had a latex on the lips this time, so they didn't have the just the lips moving up and down. They had actual
That's
sort of
disturbing.
latex type bases.
That's
I
disturbing.
think that was the under the sea one. There was it Stingray or something.
I
One
think
of
I'd
those
rather look
shows
at the
there.
Nutcracker style than the lips moving. Now, obviously, not the mama had to be here. So,
Oh,
are
you beat me
you
to the punch there, sir.
Yeah. Are you
All
going to be getting
dinosaurs there.
the NECA ones?
Yes, I pre-ordered those, and I'm also working on the cosplay there of Earl Sinclair. So I had the head there made up, which I made patterns off
And
from
we'll
one of the
get to your
small,
cosplay here in a minute.
one of the smaller versions of the toy you could get. So probably the one in the middle there, next behind the baby, the big baby.
That one?
So yes, I used him to make the patterns for that, and then
Yeah.
I just enlarged them, of course.
Dinosaurs was ahead of its time, and it was
All
an
Disney
interesting show.
dinosaurs there.
Now here's your Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
There they go. Few bootleg Lego-looking ones at the front there. I
I
found at
was
the dollar
wondering
store.
about those because
Yes.
I hadn't seen those before. I was like, what?
Yes, I got a
So,
set of
and
those.
these are the NECA Turtles, right? The movie
Indeed.
Turtles. Okay, from the first movie.
And there's a transforming Splinter there, and there's a transforming Turtle there also.
Okay.
And there's some of the
Now
McDonald's
here's
ones. Oh,
one
there he
shelf of
is.
your Joes. Now I know you got more Joes than this, but this is one shelf. So
Sergeant Slaughter there. Yeah.
I got to put them toward the end because the GI Joe fan that is me is going to
Indeed,
put the
yeah.
GI Joe figures probably toward the end. But
Yes, I had one or two Joes when I was a little boy too. I had an old shipwreck there, and one of the diving suit fellows, and then there was one fellow had a bit of a camo uniform on. Okay, he might have been gung ho or something like that. Yes, so I had the Joes there for a short time, but and then later on, probably in my 20s, I collected the Rise of Cobra from the first movie there. I had some of
the
those
modern,
figures and had the vehicles there, like the
oh,
is it the Night Raven or something, and
yeah,
I had the old stealth bomber shaped one, a couple of the old 4-wheel drive trikes there with the figures, and I had some of the more modern looking in that scale ones based on either the comic or the original cartoon. I think it was it Desolute or something or Resolute.
Resolute, yeah,
That's it.
Resolute,
And so I had a Cobra Commander and a Destro of that, and Destro had his little a missile launcher and a wee suitcase there with all the controls and whatnot in there. But I sold all those, and I did have one vintage GI Joe fighter there, not the one that's just come out recently, but the one that had the wings sort of up like that way. It was something X or one of the one of those vintage Joe fighters there.
yeah.
There he is. Reassemble, Stephanie. Reassemble.
Johnny Five,
old,
Johnny Five
Johnny
alive.
Five there. Yes. This
That's
was a custom Lego Johnny Five
it's
I made there.
fantastic. I
And
just,
I did it based on the second film. So you notice he's got his toolbox
yeah,
out there, and he's got the wee Polaroid camera popping up,
yeah.
and he also had the wee third arm that popped up with all his tools, so you could flick the wee tools out there, and yes, and
Yeah,
I made his tried to make his little scarf he had out of a Lego mini figure cape.
it's fantastic.
Now he did have a smiley face on the front of his toolbox there, so I found a Lego smiley face there for that.
Okay.
It has his Nike swoosh there too on the lower
Yeah.
parts, but you can't see that.
Now, I would save this one to the end because they have a good message at the end, which is be
It's a
excellent
rather
to each other.
excellent display there, indeed.
It is an excellent display, and being excellent to each other is important.
Indeed, yes. Oh, Bill and
But
Ted
I
there.
do like that you have it. It's cool. And now, is this a signed
So that is a
piece?
original lobby photo there, not signed, I don't think.
Okay.
But yes,
I was
that
curious
was one
about
piece
that,
I
if that
found
was the
online
case.
there to get that.
And that is all of those. And then we're going to go into. I kind of had to do this in 3
Oh my
different
God.
folders, because
Oh, yes.
otherwise we would be all confused, and I would be all confused on what we were presenting.
Well,
So
the
I
show
kind of
there.
organized your photos that you sent to me in this way. So we're going to go over your costumes and your custom costume stuff
Oh,
because
yes.
I think this is probably some of the most fantastic stuff that I've seen out of your collection.
So sculpting the head from my baby Grogu prop there. So eventually cast that in the silicone, as you see here.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my
And that's
first
how he
time
finishes.
making molds and things, and I
So when
made his little
people see you
jacket
with
there.
that Grogu you built, that's not a Grogu that you
Indeed,
got off the shelf. So that's what makes
he
it even
was going to
better.
be animatronic. I bought one of those girls baby doll toys that are kind of animatronic there, but
Hmm.
yes, I ran out of time to get all that sorted out. So I bought a stuffed toy baby from the secondhand store and just plonked his head on there, and he also
Yeah,
has a wee undersuit and then the jackets over
yeah,
top of that. So I made those as well. And I had to sculpt his hands over the baby's hands there and on the feet also. And I did
yeah. Well, I mean,
all the
you
way
got
hair, I
unique
did all
features because
the hair
there's.
punching over the head there,
Oh
so
yeah,
punching in all the individual hairs. There was a bit of work. Ooh.
I. You know what? This one is impressive too. The rocket
There's
and the
just
Groot.
one thing I need. That guy's eye. No,
Yeah,
seriously, it's important to me. No,
it's
Rocket Raccoon
fantastic.
there.
I mean,
Yes.
I was floored when you sent me these photos.
This was at a special event, a children's event there, where I was with some other cosplayers.
Now I'm
I
assuming that's you
walked around a
in the
couple of days.
rocket, right?
Indeed. There's a
Okay.
little boy there with the blaster, holding the blaster there that I had. I didn't have that big gun, mind you. Would have been too much to bring up on the old wind raider there.
This is your Stargate.
So yes, this is the Apophis serpent guard, but based on the movie look of
Now
the
I assume
Horus
this
Anubis
articulates.
guards there.
I'm assuming this
Indeed, so
articulates and moves, right?
the head moves with a series of pulley strings that are attached
Okay.
to a little cap that I wear. So there's two strings at the side and one at the
Hmm.
back, and using the gravity of the head to come down. Of course, I just move the head back up there, and the head moves up. And when I go side to side like this, of course, the head turns side to side,
That is
and
fantastic. I
you can
mean,
combine that for various different
yeah,
poses there. And then, of
just the
course,
line work and
the
the
eyes light
engineering.
up. The eyes light up red, and of course, I see through those little grills in the silver there in the front.
Okay.
So they're made
Yeah.
to look like just a line in the the
You
design, but
included
they're
a
actually
couple action
little sing
shots, so
holes.
we'll kind of.
There's a bit of a photo there, yes, on the
Then
old
there's
bush.
that with the light up.
Yes, the eyes are on there.
That is just fantastic. I mean,
Yes,
that is
I
really,
got
really
into a
fantastic.
3D scanning booth there with that on, and the fellow scanned me, but cost too much to get them printed. They're about 300 a Tony in there. What? Was a bit expensive.
And here's your Quee
Oh
that you
yes, old
did.
Quill there from the Mandalorian. So that
Yeah.
all went with the baby Grogu prop.
And there's him
There it is.
completed. That's just fantastic stuff. I mean, honestly, you're extremely talented, man. I gotta say. I mean, I may be able to paint a figure or two.
Tao is
Yeah.
only steel. They do not destroy. I have spoken. Yes, so I still have
Now
that
this
one
is
old
a
Admiral Akbar there.
now you built
It's a
this
fact.
because it looks fantastic too. Even
Yes,
fish eyes and
that was my first secret cosplay. So I didn't let anybody know who I was there. So this is one of the Armageddon conventions there, similar to your Comic Cons.
it's fantastic. I can see
And then
why. Now here's
they had me collecting there for the breast cancer foundation or one of the foundations that day.
here's a
Oh, perfect
cell
sale
head
there.
that obviously
I ended up
another
selling it, so
costume.
I never finished that costume, unfortunately.
But you
I
know
got as
what? It's a
far
good
as the head.
start. You
Hmm.
don't always have to finish everything, but I mean, it looks great. Here's your Dalek.
Exterminate. Yes. That's my second Dalek. The first one was made out of all heavy materials and wood, but I sold that one. And I kept this one here because I can fold everything down, you see, and the skirt
Hmm.
section pulls up and
Yeah.
that all folds around using a bit of the, your age-old game board mechanics. You know how your game board folds up because there's a
Yeah.
bit of paper in behind the two card pieces that allow it to fold. So I use that idea in folding up the skirt section. So you can get that in a normal size car, whereas the properly made Dalek pops, you can't. You need a bit of a trailer or a bit of a
Yeah.
truck there to get them all in.
Yeah. Well,
And that was all
sometimes you
made out of
gotta.
that was made out of light materials too, like foams and of course
Yeah.
fabric was the medium I used to glue the foam sections of the skirt, and so it was your bit of paper there
Looks great. I mean,
attaching the board of the game board idea. Or
now
Cyberman,
I'm
Doctor
assuming
Who
that
again.
this is. I wasn't sure if this was a bust or if this was a costume.
That's a full costume over a mannequin there. That's
Okay.
of the of your Peter Davison era Cybermen through to about or Sylvester McCoy there.
Okay. Well, you do have fans in the chat that are just wowed by what they're
Oh,
seeing.
well, thank
So
you there, Dawn.
now here's
There's the
your
Dalek.
Dalek
So
next
the
to your
Dalek was
Ninja
based
Turtle.
on the War Daleks from the Matt Smith
Okay.
series, and I had him at one time holding a little tray up there with the cup. But of course, I removed all that over time,
Yeah.
and that was my Raphael costume that I wore that day. So that Dalek was just on display there around some old sandbags.
And here's a Megatron head.
Yes, I
I
like
did I
you,
dug the
pussycat.
Megatron head.
It's that old Megatron there, based on the Prime One Studio statue.
Yeah. Beast Wars
So
Megatron.
the mouth moves and the eyes light up.
Oh,
All the bells and
okay.
whistles. and
Wow. And now this is his
then,
hand, right?
yes, that's the hand to go with it there.
Yeah. And that looks fantastic too. Now that's
And
all hand sculpted, right?
yes, so it was EVA foam that I made patterns of the colossal T-Rex toy from, I believe, Hasbro, Mattel there. I think, no, Mattel.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I made patterns off that and enlarged them, then made up a foam structure, and then I used a foam clay over top of that to give it all the texture there and what have you, and sculpt the teeth. And yes, it has the wee plasma cannon there in the back of the
Yeah.
throat. He has his tongue. So all that costume is going to transform. I have a set of linear actuators. Now what they are,
Oh.
they're a little motor there that pushes a
Mm-hmm.
rod up and down. So I've got those to
Cool.
help me transform the main body all the way on the back there. But yes, I haven't got farther on that as of yet. And the old
Now
Guyver there.
here's a Guyver. I was fascinated by that as well.
Yes, so I've got it.
And
So
here's another one.
I've got some of the vibro blades pull out from the
Oh,
arms there. They're sort of made. They're made in two pieces like this, and
okay.
when they're sheathed back on the arm, they split apart. So they wrap around my arm there, sort of like that. And when you pull them out, they of course are joined together with a bit of the pressure of the slot and the forearm pieces there.
Interesting.
And I coated those in a sort of a reflective vinyl. So I got people to use their flash. When they did
Oh,
it,
okay.
the vibro blades were lighting
So
up
it
there.
gives it a sheen whenever they do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now here's your Lord Chamberlain. I have to
Yeah.
say that is.
Yes.
Phew.
Mr.
I mean, that
Mr.
face
Olympus there.
alone, just the sculpting, just the way it looks.
So that's my two-handed puppet that I made based on Barnaby Dixon's work. You might have seen his dab chick. He uses two of his hands to make these little
Mhm.
puppets attached by various armatures there. And you can, using his hands to manipulate different things. He also made the puppet there in the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance scene where
Mhm.
the Wanderer does the wee puppet show for the Galpings there, and you see his hands moving around the puppet. So that was Barnaby Dixon doing that. So I used a basic mechanics of what he does into this puppet here. So it's a bit of a two-handed job. So I had my two fingers here to move the arms about and and this hand here moves the head around, and using my thumb, there's a wee switch that I activate, and that causes the mouth to open and close, so I can move
That
the
is
head
cool.
around and move his mouth, move his arms. I made all the costume for him as well. And there's old Skekmile there, the hunter. So that was a
Yeah.
costume, and the back arms were puppeted. So I
Okay.
had them on some hinges and a bit of a string that attaches to my real hands. And when I move those out, the back arms they move up and down there. And also I have puppet mechanisms in the head. So when I move the jaw down, there's a delay string on two of the mechanisms there. So as I move the jaw down, the tongue moves up, and there's strings that pull the eyes inside also. So when they get the tension on them, the eyes move forward. So I like
Here's
to
another
keep in the
show of
puppet
him again
as Jim Henson,
outside.
as the Jim
Just some
Henson
different
company was
lighting.
known for there. And this that was at the another Armageddon Expo up in Auckland there.
Now,
Oh, what's
here's your
this?
current helmet.
Oh,
I love the weathering,
yeah, that's what I got on there now.
and this is foam core.
EVA foam there and craft foam.
Okay.
It's a bit of a mixture there. Bit of dry brush.
The weathering looks fantastic.
And
All
on
right,
this
now this was this
World of
is this a
Warcraft.
puppet or is this a costume?
No, it's a costume there, sir. This is a Varian Win, I think, from the World of Warcraft series, but based on Zach Fisher's art. Of course, he did them all as undead characters. So this is your, unexploded King Varian there.
Okay.
He's a bit of an undead looking fellow.
All right, now
Oh, Rider kick.
obviously this is your Japanese influencing
Common
Common
Rider
Rider.
V3 there. The V3 fellow. Yes. So this is my sort of a redesign on him. And moving
Okay,
into props there that I made. So this is a prop I made of the Dragon Dagger. So I redesigned it and built it myself for a fellow doing a bit of a fan film over in the US of A there. And
all
that
right.
was the actress, and the actress holding that was the woman that played the young Rita Repulsa.
Ah, okay. Oh,
It
when
was also
you
it
sent
was
me
also
that
used
photo,
in the
I wasn't sure
subsequent.
which one you were referencing. When you
It,
said
it,
that, I was
it,
like, wait.
oh, it was also used in the second production he did called Teenagers with Attitude. So you can see those fan films on the old YouTube there. So that's Zordon of Altar was the main one, and the fan film that followed that was the Teenagers with Attitude. And so the
Okay.
second photo I did send you of the other girl holding it,
Yeah,
she
I've got.
played the Green Ranger there.
I think I've got that here in a minute. This is the front of your
So
helmet
there's
that
the
you're
front of
currently
it.
wearing.
Yeah.
Now here's your Earl that you're working on. This is a work in progress, right?
Yes, it's still looking like that at the moment. Made
No,
up
I
the
love the
different
foam work.
foams there. So you've got
Yeah.
some pillow foam that's a bit more flexible, and then there's main EVA foam for the rest of it there. So I'm hoping to have the eyebrows. Oh, who's that fellow?
I don't know. You tell me.
Oh, oh,
But you
you
do
got
have
you got
lots of
me there,
foam.
sir. So
But
yes,
it is seeing
it looks like
your
me, doesn't
costume
it?
work and your other stuff. I mean, obviously you enjoy the characters and you enjoy the toys and you enjoy what they bring you and they
Indeed,
make you happy. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what this is supposed to be about. When we collect toys as grown adults, it's really about connecting with our childhoods and finding something that makes us happy.
indeed. But yes, too. You'll notice that all my costumes are fully coloured there. It makes things easier for the other fellow there to uh, be in crowds and for other various reasons there.
Does it make
With,
you nervous when you're
due,
in a
due, due,
large
due
crowd?
to due to confidences and so forth, and
I
also
mean,
due
I get,
to it's also due to a developmental condition.
yeah, and I understand. I have one myself. So I struggle
Indeed.
with it constantly. And, one of the things that I did was start doing this and admitting that it was a problem. That was one of the things that I did for so long because I'd been masking for so long. I'd been masking not in the literal sense that, like you were masking, but just masking that part of who I was because I
I
spent a
see.
long time in school learning so I could read people a lot better. I could learn those social cues a little better. I'm still not great at it. My wife will tell you that I'm horrible at it at times. She's over there
Uh,
smiling
y-
currently. She's smiling. She knows that it's hard. It's hard
oh,
sometimes that when
yes.
we don't pick up those social cues, and then getting into a crowd, it's like a nightmare. It's like listening to nails on a chalkboard, except you're feeling it everywhere, right?
Yes. Also, people don't are not always aware that when you're around heaps of people, it's like you're everybody's got a sun between their shoulders there, and it's beaming hugely powerful rays all at you. And yes, he struggles with that also. So he has various ways to mask up there, so he can basically function in everyday society and so forth.
Yeah, and it is one of those things that we do. I mean,
Because a lot of those central there's external sensory
yeah,
bombardment aspects are
yeah,
quite a challenge to go through from anywhere from bright light to noise and
yeah,
also to various social cues and
yeah. My
aspects.
youngest, my youngest one is the severe profound, and he has sensory needs that we have to meet. Otherwise, there's going to
Yes,
be lots of meltdowns and things that are
and
disruptive
sensory
to his day.
overloads. Yes,
Yeah. So it's one of those things that you have to precariously balance when we are neurodivergent like we are. It's one of those things that we have to be very cognizant of, what our limits are, what we're capable of doing. The more we stress ourselves out, the worse it gets sometimes, right?
yes. So for the
So,
other the other fellow there, usually in situations where there are lots of noise, he is prone to a sensory overload, which
yeah,
for him it results in basically feeling like your body is shutting down. So
yeah.
he can't speak or move at
Oh,
all.
I
Or
understand.
the brain feels like it's rebooting there, and this
Yeah,
can last from anywhere for a few minutes to maybe a little bit longer there, depending on how trapped he is and how long he remains in that situation if he can't get out of it.
yeah.
To get out of the sensory overload there.
Well, and I think that, as we struggle with that, we kind of figure out what our triggers can be sometimes. Now, sometimes they can come from nothing. Just one day, just everything comes together, and then but do the masks and the other things help as far as muffling sound and creating that kind of
Yes,
artificial barrier.
because usually the most of these costumes been made out of foam. They're close up to my ears there, or his ears rather, and yes, and that tends to help block out most of the sounds. But most of the time, he'll be using earplugs and so forth. So it's yes, it's a hard one being in a world where it's mostly dominated by a neurotypical society there
Yeah,
that doesn't always understand that there are other ways of thinking and sensing. I mean, you have people, then they go on the old warpath there. If you're exploding fireworks near their horses and animals and
yeah,
what have you, but they don't always realize that there are humans that are just as not quite as powerful sensory wise as a horse or a dog there, but 10 times more powerful enough than someone that is neurotypical there.
yeah, yeah,
Or unless they have another condition that renders their senses a bit more sensitive, even
yeah,
without autism, of course.
yeah. Exactly. No, I think it's interesting that you have such this creative outlet that you have. And I think it's good because you found a way to, somewhat monetize some of your creativity, right? Because you do
Yes,
commissions and things like
doing
that for
commission
people.
costumes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, that's always a good thing when, and especially if it's something that you enjoy doing, because you seem like you enjoy doing the costumes and the custom works and all of the other stuff, because you do a lot of it. So I'm assuming you enjoy it.
I also enjoy getting the character there. So you would have noticed through the progression of this live stream, my voices have changed there somewhat. I try to mimic close to the voices of the characters I like to cosplay there to give the full in character effect, if you will.
See, Oz can sympathize. He says, when there's too much going around him, sensory overload hits and he feels like he's drowning. It's a
Yes.
very reasonable expectation that those of us that don't, you put me in a crowd and I start twitching. It's
Of
not
course,
a, it's
after the sensory overload attack, sometimes he will find that you have to use his asthma medication there to start breathing normally. Usually, the wheezing sets in after all that because he's so tensed up, and the brain computer there feels like it's rebooting there. Like how your computer freezes or your great eye of the universe freezes there, and you
yeah,
have to go for the restart, and yeah, it takes time and so
yeah.
forth.
So we've gone through your collection, we've gone through your costumes. The one thing that we haven't gone through that you sent me, we didn't really go through your customs. Now there's only a few, but it's stuff that you've done recently, so I am going to try to get these. They're not going to come up in order because for whatever reason, when I renamed them, they did not want to stay in order. So after about my
Oh,
third
good
time
there.
of fighting with it, I said, you know what, I'm done. We'll just go with it. We'll go with it. So now these are some of your custom figure works. We kind of showed some off in your Masters of the Universe section, and then your Masterverse section. But this is your Wednesday doll that you've done.
Hmm. Yeah,
Now
so
this is,
I was on the old Instagram there, and
yeah.
usually you get all these suggestions for following there. And one of them was this lady, I think in Russia, called a Tender Blythe doll. So this is called a Blythe doll there. And she'd done a custom Wednesday Adams. So I thought, hmm, that would be good to try maybe do some Masters of the Universe Blythe dolls there. And I thought, I did like that new Netflix series. So I thought I'd try my first Blythe custom as Wednesday Adams there. And so you can, so looking on YouTube, there I found a few tutorials, and you can sculpt away the plastic. So this is called the face plate. The head
Oh,
splits off into three sections. So you have the back and forward face plates, and then the hair comes off as a separate piece. So you can buy your spare hair colors there, and whatever you want to go with. But
so it's a
just enough.
sculptable.
There's just enough plastic there, so you're not going through the plastic. You can use Dremel tools or carving
Oh,
tools there, as I see a few of them using. So here I marked out. I did a wee drawing first of Jenna Ortega there, as close as I could get to the old blind doll likeness. And then I marked out with a series of lines. So that's the face plate before I
this is
did the
where it
carving.
started, right?
Yes, so this is after
Okay.
pulling it apart and what have you. And then I drew the wee lines across the face
Okay.
here, just to going off the guide of the drawing I did, and I carved into that with my Dremel tool. And yes, so I did a bit of a paint over there, the skin tone, and then on the lips I see they grind up our pastel colours there into a bit of a fine powder, and then using an applicator brush like the woman and the girls doing their makeup there. You just
Hmm.
applicate the different colours onto the lips. Sometimes you can do it around the face as usual also. And then you just have to spray it with a bit of a sealer there to keep it all in place. And so
Now I'm
yes,
assuming this is,
here I was making I used the body as a bit of a dressmaker's form there, you might
okay.
say. So I had the
I was
worked out
curious
the
about
paper
that.
patterns, and then made her
And
dress up there out of those patterns. And here she is holding
this,
a violin because I didn't have enough gold to buy her a cello there. What? She wasn't
Hmm.
happy, but she settled with the violin there, shall we say.
I mean, it's still a stunning custom. I mean, there's
Yeah.
a
His
ton
old
of
thing on her shoulder too. I took
yeah.
a 1/6 scale figure, spare hand there, but I had to sculpt in the portion on the wrist. And I made little sort of wedge cuts out of the
Hmm.
various areas of the hand
Yeah.
to make the stitches, and
Mm.
cut and sculpted the stitches around the top of the wrist, where there's a bit of a skin flap that remains from the arm. That just sort of looks like they've done that and then just stitched around the top there in that universe, mind you. And
All right. So we're gonna
there's
go
all
to your
sorcerers there.
sorceress.
Hmm.
Now, is this a full sculpt or is this a head that you
This is a full scope, so the head start is a bit of a tinfoil ball on a bit of
okay.
a straw, and yes, I sculpted with Miller Puxy Putty to
Okay.
sculpt the head, but I made a big hole where I sculpted the inner mouth details first, so the teeth and the tongue, and I sculpted with Milliput around over top there to
Okay.
make the lips and the rest of the mouth. And then the headdress is a separate piece also. So I did a similar thing to what I did with duplicate there. I made a little template up and then sculpted the Miller putty over top of that to make the main falcon headpiece of Zoar there. And then I guess once that had set, I put a bit of glad wrap over the head there, and then I held the bit of Milliput piece that I made after sculpting that in with the pattern and let that set hard, and then sculpted all the feathers and the top part there separately.
The feathers are the thing that's impressive to me because I know how hard that milliput and epoxy sculpt
Yes,
is to
it's
actually
rather soft
sculpt.
there before it's set. Yes, so what I did was I plonked it back on the head, back on the shoulders there, and I used different levels of masking tape off the shoulders there to
Okay.
support the feathers in different flowing ways there until they're set hard. But I
Yeah,
have
because
to
I know
go.
how
I
hard
have to go
epoxy
another
sculpt
another time. I
is.
have to go and do the inside as well because
And
they're
as
rather brittle at the
yeah,
moment.
as thin as those are, those things would have to be extremely brittle. Now this was interesting because this is a paper cast, and I'm assuming this
Yes,
is
so
your
this was not done by any computer program like Blender or Pepicora, but it's similar as to how you assemble a Pepicora a
yeah
card model there. So I found a couple of reference images of the lion head there, and
for Eternia, right?
I scaled them up till they're roughly the same size. So there's a side-on picture, a front and
Hmm.
a top side, and I traced all the various different segments out and lined them up with the what I traced from the side-on photos and the front-on, and I basically was able to work out a rough idea of how that should all fit in place. And yes, so I glued all those together, and that's had a few coats of resin all over it and on the inside there. But eventually, I'll sculpt over in some epoxy putty, and then I made the rest of the base of the main tower up there. I
Now,
just
how
made
heavy do
again
these
a
end up?
side on, just
How
a
heavy
side
is that
on.
gray skull that you did as well? How heavy are they? Heavy? Or are they
Oh, the
moderately
first the
lightweight?
first grey skull. Oh, I forgot about that one. I should have sent you that too.
The gray
Well,
skull that you did
that
is it?
that first grey skull is rather heavy.
It is okay. Because I was wondering, because the more you layer, it tends to get heavier and heavier. So I was curious about that.
Yes, it was all thick cardboard, and I used a bit of foam clay and so forth on that.
Yeah. Well, let me go back to
So
these.
so that Eternia playset is scaled to the loyal subjects figures there. And
Okay.
yes, so this is a wee project I'm going to go down to eventually sell to tourist shops there, based on some of the animals you see around in Otago. So this is, of course, the royal albatross there, with its wings nicely out. So I aim to do first and second waves there. So looking at doing the little blue penguin, which we have around the Otago Peninsula, and sea lions there. And of course,
It's
this is
just
a royal
fantastic
albatross where
sculpting.
you can see the albatross colony. They also operate a bit of a live cam at the colony too, which you can view on YouTube there and view all the chicks as they grow older. Takes a bit of a while though, but yes, from night and day you can see what they're doing and getting up to. You might see a few rabbits bouncing around them though. And yes,
It's
so the idea was to sculpt and then cast and produce these and
yeah,
hand paint them and offer them to be sold at tourist shops, but also have a bit of a split of the money there to go to the
yeah.
various conservation efforts around these animals to
I mean,
keep them
it's
healthy and
the
flourishing and
sculpting
what
is
have you.
fantastic. I mean, I am amazed at your talent, honestly.
So you may recall a fellow that sculpts dinosaurs there. He starts
Mm,
off with a bit of a flat side on picture, and then he rolls up masking tape and makes a bit of a base frame up of say a T Rex there, and then he
mm,
clumps on with rolled up bits of masking tape until he has like a little bit of an inner core made, and then he'll sculpt over with milliput epoxy putty. And
mm.
he tends to do more of the Jurassic Park type designs as you see in the movies there. So
It's
that's
just
how that was done.
the stuff that you sculpt, the talent that you have is amazing. I mean, it is. I mean, from everything from the costumes to the figures, it's stunning,
Thank you, sir.
to put a simple
So it's
phrase on it.
something that I like to do, keeps me busy
I
in the
mean,
old quiet times there.
I'm good at painting and I'm good at doing some basic sculpts, but yeah, no, it just the stuff
It
that you
takes a
do.
bit of time to work. Of
Yeah.
course, I was doing all that in school as well, and your art
Well, but
classes using the clay, and so I kept a lot of that skill I developed from going to school, and of course, still using all that today in these projects.
okay. So Eldor, what are the collection rules for Eldor's collection? What comes into collecting? What comes into Eldor's collection? What are the rules that you have when you buy something?
Oh, it all gets away in you, sir.
It
I
does.
don't think the rules are fairly non-existent. I'm afraid it's it's whatever I like from the 80s, and there it goes. Although, mind you, sometimes if I do lose interest in a few pieces, I'll sell them. I sold my Omega Supreme there from the Transformers War for Cybertron. It was still in its box there, still
Mm.
minty fresh. So I sold that to a fellow there, and that helped boost my savings up for Snake Mountain there. And yes, sadly that all went into getting Mossman from Mexion Pigs there. He sorted me out with one.
Well,
But no,
see
it's coming
that's
out
gonna
around.
be
It's said to come out around 30th of August, going off
yeah.
the Entertainment Earth site there, I believe. So still a bit
And
of
that's
time yet
it's
to
hard,
save that, and I'm
especially.
also buying one for Ulster Toys. There, sorting them out with Snake Mountain.
Yeah,
But
it's gonna be
yes,
difficult that you're in New Zealand to get stuff because obviously, getting stuff you end up paying two or three times what we would pay for it.
yes.
So I
See
mean,
the pre-orders at Big Bad Toy Store there. In shipping, you're paying the complete set all over again. So I believe the set as it is about a hundred and 40ish, 430 or 40ish dollars New Zealand or Australian rather,
oof,
and then the
off,
shipping's about a hundred and something extra on that.
oof.
But a few fellows have spotted it for pre-order at Pop Culture
Well,
there in
I know when
Australia.
I shipped that figure out there for your friend, and I was like, it
Yes,
was
the
40
Micron figure.
bucks. It was 40 bucks for that little box. I'm just like, oh man, yeah.
Oh,
I can only
yes,
imagine what
I
it
was
is when you
selling. I
actually.
was sending out I was sending out a box no bigger than this, full of little loyal subjects. Thundercats figures for a friend that she'd been in a bit of a car accident. So I thought I found that I knew she liked Thundercats. There, you see. So while I was on
Mhm.
the old marketplace there, I spied a good lot of the loyal subjects figures there, Lionel and all them. And yes, I think she'll like those. So I got all those and packed them into a box about yay there and about that. They wanted $70 for tracking and everything on that. Blow me down. Oh, crikey.
It's
Yes,
always
and,
interesting
and
because
non-tracking was about $30 there. So,
yeah,
wow,
we
yes,
get
have to go with
we
that
get people here
and
that
hope for the
don't
best. Yeah.
they don't appreciate that they have it a little easier on the cost of their toys. So when they complain about a figure that's $25, I just kind of chuckle because I'm thinking to myself, you know what? There's people in Australia that would love to have that for 25 bucks, or people in New Zealand or Japan or all of these other
So
countries
see,
that
I'm like
pay
that with the Mythic
exorbitant
Legions
amounts.
figures there. I think to myself, it'd be nice if the Mythic Legions figures are, 39 New Zealand, but no, they're 39 US.
Yeah,
So that's all, what about 60 or $64 there or something?
yeah, they're not for the faint of heart, that's for sure.
Oh, well,
So
my heart's still doing good considering how old I am. What?
yeah, so what's your favorite all-time line? What toy line is your favorite? I think we know, but we just want you to say it.
uh, yes, considering I didn't have much as a kid, I just sparse pieces of Transformers to Little Masters of the Universe. Didn't have much Doctor Who back in the days, though, mind you. It's a hard one there. There's several. I suppose my Master of the Universe collection is dwarfing what I have there now. I suppose I'd have to go with Master of the Universe there, or Transformers coming in a close second. Well, one of those two.
Okay. So when you decide that you want to get a figure, you mentioned that you really don't have rules, but it just has to speak to you, right? So
Indeed.
what do you look for in a figure? What's the thing that makes you say that's the figure that I want?
Well, usually if it's from a franchise I like, and
Okay.
most passionate about. Yes, I'll get in there. Sometimes I'm governed by what a figure looks like. This, yeah, I never got a few of the Masterverse figures. I never got Andra because she looks more like a DC character than what you would see in Master of the Universe. So I don't feel she aesthetically wise fitted in with my collection there. I never got the first Tila either. I went
Hmm.
in for the classics Tila because I do like that classic look in Masters of the Universe and so forth. I never thought I'd be getting the Sunman line, but I love the story behind that of Wyler Eason making a line
Hmm.
for her son. So he could see himself as being a He-Man there, and there wasn't very much in the way of uh, what children could get if
Yeah.
they're from a certain ethnic group there and so forth. So she put her foot down there, said, right team, got to make my son an action figure there. So I like that story that came out
Yeah.
there. I
Well,
never heard of it before until Origins came out, and they decided to team up with Almec Toys there. And
yeah.
yes, so I jumped in and got a few of the Sunman figures there. So I got a Big Head and Sunman, and recently I got the Masterverse Sunman. And I know a few people were a bit at odds about the line being included in Origins, but I felt as the original toy line was designed to be played in with Masters of the Universe, I felt it was fitting that the Rulers of the Sun toy line would be included with Masters of the Universe Origins there. So
Hmm.
yes, I picked up a few of those, and hmm.
So
So
are
sometimes
there any?
sometimes toys with a bit of a story behind them. I might pick up
Yeah.
as well.
You want something that's attached to it that gives you some meaning to it.
Indeed.
And that's understandable. I mean, that's sometimes it's a lore thing. Sometimes it's just how it came to be. And in that case, representation does matter. And, some people might dismiss that, but it does matter to some people
I
when they
mean,
don't see themselves
all very
reflected.
well said and done. I mean, you can still identify with multiple characters, even though you might not have the skin color like as they do. But indeed, some children and some people do feel like they've been left out there. But
Yeah.
it doesn't mean to say you can't be influenced by, say, a Japanese character from like your
Yeah.
anime series, or
Yeah.
one serial I liked was the Battleship Yamato there, which I
Yeah.
believe was turned into Star Blazers for the US,
Yep. Yep.
or something. So many of those, and as you saw before, Kamen Rider there is a Japanese
Yeah.
created hero, tokusatsu, which means special acting.
Yeah.
And so yes, uh, I did quite enjoy the Kamen Rider series there. Of course, they brought it out there in Masked Rider, which is a spin-off on the
Yeah.
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, which is another
Yeah.
show that the US developed for the US market there. That was
Yeah.
an original Japanese series. And yes, so my first Kamen Rider was Kamen Rider Black, catching up on that early serial. But of course, I had to have it on the captions there because it was all in Japanese. And then
Yeah.
Kamen Rider Black RX followed that series, which became the Masked Rider series
Yeah.
there. So yes,
So,
so that was one character that I felt connected to. He he had the world on his shoulders there. Of course, him and his brother were kidnapped by an evil cult organization called Gorgon, and they were surgically altered to become cyborgs and fight to the death to become the new creation king, because the current king was dying at the end of his I don't know, $50,000 50,000 year life there, almost as old as me.
mhm.
And yes, so during the surgery, his stepfather, who was a member of this cult, he had second thoughts, and he came in and interrupted the surgery on I forget his name now, Kotaro, and so he ends up escaping on his battle hopper there, the motorcycle, and so he goes around crusading and fighting Gorgon that's trying to uh, strengthen up their mutant monsters and so forth, and you eventually get his brother Nobuko, who becomes Shadow Moon there,
Mhm.
and they end up fighting together, and then the next series of Kamen Rider Black started off. Kamen Rider Black RX was came off the tail end of the first series there, where he gets an upgrade to his suit there, and several other transformations, where I believe was one of the first Kamen Rider shows to have the multiple forms that you could do there, and so forth, and being told by his Kingstone that he must be alone in his fight and whatever. Usually, the lone hero thing was the Japanese shows that I liked. I didn't much like
Mhm.
the more later on Kamen Riders, where they had Kamen Riders jumping out of all nooks
Yeah.
and crannies there. I did prefer the one Kamen Rider fighting it, but now you've got you don't know where to look really. They could have saved all these fellows in later on
Yeah. You
seasons of
know, they do
the
what they
show for
do.
themselves,
So,
but
they
indeed they do
everything
what they do, I
evolves.
suppose. But that's what
Everything
I liked
evolves, and eventually we get
originally.
to a point where there's just everything starts. The thing is that everything starts to evolve, so then it all starts to look the same and sound the same and be the same, and then there's nothing unique anymore. So,
Even the old transformation line, let's say, uh, with a great sort of determination and grit,
yeah.
they yell out "Henshin!" Now it's just like "Henshin." Then they change and just say it as if they're bored with the word or something
It's a
now.
lack of enthusiasm there, right?
But it
So,
was it's now more to sell toys, because a lot of these the driver belts, they have a man say a line there, say drive power drive, or something like that, and they
yeah.
put that in the toys there.
So, are there any buyer's regrets or remorse when you buy it? Has there been any time where you bought something and you were just immediately like, you know what, I really didn't need that or want that. I just thought I wanted
Well,
it.
just recently, in fact, one of the jobs I'm doing there for a predator costume, I brought one of those Jurassic World T-Rex masks. I
Mhm.
was thinking it was a nice solid a mask there was about $40, but using a discount code, I got down to 30. So I got two of those, one for my Earl Sinclair and one for this Predator costume. Boy, when they arrived, they're just these flimsy plastic things. And I'm like, oh, and this was supposed to be $40. What? It's definitely not the no, it's definitely not the first ones that came out there with the sound effects and the more solid looking plastic, which I thought these were. So
Yeah,
I regretted that straight away.
it happens. I mean,
I'll find a use for them somewhere.
there's times when I'll get a figure and I'll just be like, why did I buy this? But now, luckily that I do customs, I'm just like, you know what? You're just going to be custom
I can
fodder.
use
That's
that
all
in
you're
a
going to be.
custom. Bit of custom
So,
fodder there.
do you ever?
And, my main regret was selling my classics figures there. I had quite a
Yeah,
few mint in box. Uh, I also had a Catra and Foster classics too, mint in their packages. But yes, it was a sad day. I had to get the old gold for another reason for those, and yeah.
that's kind of the ever, the collector's ever growing problem. Sometimes we let go of some things that we love to get something new, or because we have something else that we had to
Mm.
do.
See, I used to have
Luckily,
more than I have now. I used to have the Babylon 5
mhm,
figures, all nice and carded. I believe the same company that did the Sequest figures there for a short time. But they're all gone now, and years ago.
mhm,
All the aforementioned Rise of Cobra GI Joe figures, they all got sold,
yeah,
or I donated some of them into the Boys Rally prize box there. So the boys were good. They pick up a bit of a prize out of the box at the end of Boys Rally. It's kind of like your scouts there, and what have you.
So, have you always collected toys, or was there like a lull? Was there a period where you weren't collecting? So, in that instance, did you ever experience kind of burnout where
Yes,
you
several
to the
lines
point
I've
where
had
you
that.
don't really want to buy anything anymore?
So most of those lines I was on fire for a bit of a time. So the Star Trek collecting, and then there was Star Wars and Ninja Turtles. I've had two Ninja Turtle collections so far. First one was all the vintage stuff, the Turtle Blimp and what have you, a few boxed vehicles there. Oh dear. Oh, and
Yeah, right.
yes, I ended up selling that one, and they had a few of the NECA comic book sets, turtles in there, and all that stuff, and sold that collection. Then, a few years after moving out of that hut, I moved into a new hut there in the Eternian city kingdom, rather, and uh, yes, I started collecting Ninja Turtles again, but only small collection there this time. I got a signed piece by Greg Sipes, who played Michelangelo in the Netflix version there. Not Netflix, Nickelodeon rather. Uh,
Okay.
Ninja Turtle series that came out with all those new figures. So yes, I got that signed. I got a mint and packaged Mikey signed by him, and he wrote his little line that he says there. Can't remember what it is, but yes, he had a bit of a catchphrase, I believe, in that show. And yes. I think the
So,
NECA ones you showed there were the last
mhm,
I got of the old turtles there. But I do have the Playmates collector turtles based on the 90s cartoon there.
okay.
So I've got a set of those. And
So,
Bebop and Rocksteady.
is there ever a time you see yourself not collecting? What does that look like for you?
Oh, I'll probably be in a rest home there, looking at the ceiling. Not much room for much, sadly. Maybe a few pictures on the wall there. Maybe one or two of my favourites chosen and punked on the side half there, or on a shelf that they might have in the rest home.
All right.
But
Well,
I intend to keep on collecting for a good
for a
number of
while.
years yet.
Well, I mean, it makes you happy, right?
Yes, and being on my own, there's not much going on, so just have a nice bit of coal there to look around the room, maybe pose a figure around a bit. Uh, makes it feel like I'm still there, as it were.
Yeah.
and
Do you feel like
still
the
being active.
toy community has helped you?
Yes, I had no idea that the toy community was as vast as it was. You see, yes, I occasionally go on YouTube to check out a review before I bought a figure there, but I never really paid it much thought that it was a whole group going on there till about last year when I came across old Scalavator there doing his first viewer showcase. And I think Oz, that's where I met Oz. He was saying his thing about doing Mythic Legions and we're talking about customs. I thought, oh yes. So I typed on the chat box there and I said, oh yes, I might be keen to join you on that. And then that all led from one thing another. But yes, being on my own there, I don't really hear too much from most people around me, unfortunately, except for maybe a few family members. So
Yeah.
it has picked me up a little bit since joining the toy community there.
Well, I
But
mean, and
yes,
it's
I'm
kind of
happy to be a bit involved a little bit more there
well,
and
it's
being on
good. I mean,
people's shows there. It
it's
gives me something to be socializing as best as I can around there, I suppose.
well, I mean, and having that extra social interaction is always a good thing. It lets you know that you're not alone.
Oh, thank you, sir. Yes, it means a
So,
lot.
I mean, you know, it's not like you can't DM me if there's a problem. I mean, that's
Though
kind of the
he
point.
does struggle with that quite a bit there with the old talking aspect.
It's understandable. I mean, it's part of the atypical neurology. It's how it works. We don't like talking.
Indeed, yes.
I mean,
But
I could sit in silence for 8 hours and it would be perfectly fine.
oh yes, sit in silence for quite a lot indeed. Sometimes it doesn't get to me or him, and some days it does. But yes, if it weren't for Netflix or Disney Plus, uh, yes, I suppose there wouldn't be much else company there or the talk community too, of course.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. The community is there for us. That's
Indeed.
what we've made, and we've worked hard to make it open and compassionate and accepting and an inclusive place.
Indeed, yeah.
And it to me, it's one of the best things about doing this hobby is that we have these great people that we get the
Seem a
opportunity
good
to.
community has been there, able to help each other out with figures. Done swaps. I've done swaps with Adam there.
Yeah,
So far, easier having the big bad toy store there, or as I like to say, the big good toy store. And then I can
there is
just
a
I'll just get a figure there and send it out to him without
yeah,
worrying about that $70 price tag sending stuff out from here. What?
yeah,
And
it's
yes, he sent me a few figures that I've been looking for, and I'm also helping Oz out there soon with Snake Mountain there, and I've got a box of goodies for him. He mentioned he was able to help me out with the cold arm there last year. It was one of the fellows I had missed out on, so that's what brought about making that custom cold arm for Masterverse. So he said, "Oh, we can help you out there, sir." So I thought, oh, you should do a bit of a swap there. So I've got to try and get this big box of stuff out to Oz there when I'm next able to. But definitely be easy to get him the Snake Mountain there because I can just pay for that on the Big Bad Toy Store and then have it shipped out from there
hmm
without much of a fuss and
yeah.
so forth. And
So I
and
only
yes,
have a
old
couple.
and Axion Pigs there doing the hard yards and driving out to find the old Mossy Boy for a few of us there. So it's a
Ed's a
help around
nice
every
guy. I
corner
like
and
Ed.
and my buddy's customs. I heard he
Yep.
missed out on the classic re-release of Ninja Turtles there, and I said, "Oh, there's plenty of them over in my parts." So I went back there the next week, and sure enough, there was still plenty of them there. So I picked up the set on lay-by, and so I've got to get them out to him too. And yes, so I do enjoy helping fellows out, and I had Mr. Who's it? Rai Ken, I think his name is. He was
Yeah.
asking questions about the Master Bear's shoulders there. He was worried about breaking the shoulder and what parts could he remove and
Hmm.
so forth. So I gave him a few pointers there last night.
Well, it's good because we're there as resources for other people too. Because
Indeed, yeah.
I think you and I with the creative sides and Buddy with the creative sides, we have different ways of doing it, so it might be good for them to hear different perspectives on how we, let's say, disassemble a figure or
And that's
reassemble it, or
why I've
how we.
started the my new segment of custom figure time. I did a
Yeah.
special episode there a few
So
weeks
and
back
next
for
month,
Mr. Wonderful and his Hexa stack, and
yeah, most of my
so that segment's going to be step by step on how I do my customs there. So a lot of
okay.
that will go into that segment there.
Because next month I'm doing all month customs, either dioramas or
Oh yes.
figures customs. There'll be like a not like my Friday toy therapies will be me doing custom work with someone.
Oh oh yes. Yes, I remember
So
you doing that.
maybe next month we can schedule a Friday that we can have you on and we
Oh
can work on
yes, yes.
customs
I'll be
together.
keen on
And
that.
and I've got that's my plan for next month is to be it more like a work in progress August. So it'll be an interesting month. That way I can actually get some of my customs and my dios done because
Yeah,
otherwise I'm not sure that I will get them done. So
yes, I did a little bit of that with Josh Shalbert there around
yeah.
one of the Christmases. He was going to be doing some live custom painting. I said, "Oh yes, I'll join you for that." And so we did that. And we talked about all sorts of things. While we were painting our Mythic Legions figures, and
Hmm.
ended up on the topic of cryptids there, your aliens and Bigfoots
Yeah.
and skinwalkers and so forth.
So I have a couple questions left, and then I will let you get back to your evening. This first question, is more. We used to call this in psychology when we were doing positive psychology. It's called the magic question. Now, in psychology, you would ask the question: if all your problems went away today, what would you do? And it's designed to kind of let patients think about their problems differently and think about what they would do, that the barriers are that they're in their lives. But for collectors, we have two very specific barriers: space and money. So if space and money were not an issue for Eldor, and his gold pouches were infinitely full and his space was infinitely
Oh.
large, what would Eldor collect?
Well, I suppose I'd have access to be able to collect all the lines that interest me, of course, and I have the old classics, Castle Grayskull there, and Snake Mountain, and Eternia, and even though I never got into the line, maybe a bit of a cat slayer there. But generally, probably a nice big, huge castle there, a bit bigger than Castle Grayskull. With every hall themed to a
Yeah,
different.
that cat slayer is fantastic looking, but there's just no way I don't have space for that.
Yeah,
Whew.
yes, you need a bit
Three
of an
foot
open
tall by
plain for
3 foot
that. Indeed,
wide? Nope.
you need a few acres there.
Yeah, I would need a house just for my toys at that point. So, are there any toy lines that you've missed out on that you really would love to have?
uh, well, I missed out on most of the classics, so that's sort of half and half. Even though I had managed to get a few figures back in the collection there, but due to the price, it's pretty slow going.
Yeah.
Uh, I missed out on there. But I think I pretty much covered all the most of the lines that people are collecting at the moment. There's possibly one or two pieces, mind you. I might have missed out in whatever franchise. I would have liked the 1/6 scale Bill and Ted to put in my Bill and Ted collection there,
Yeah.
and all of that, and I'm not too worried about the HasLab Unicron because I got the next best one there, as we've all seen. And he transforms into a proper ball there and utilizes all his parts into his arms and legs and then what have you. None of this backpack there that I hear
Hmm.
them going on about.
Yeah.
All the kibble, I believe you say.
So my last
I
question,
might have missed. Yes, just I have most of the franchises there, but they're just probably one or two things that I've not been
missing
able
that
to
you would want.
acquire.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think that's what we all do. We all kind of think about the things that we'd want. And really that it's more like grails, those things that we really wish we still had or really wish we could get. Yeah, it's an interesting thing when we think about our collections in that way. My last question is the most important question because it's really the focus of my show. And whether it's transitory or whether it's, you know, longer term happiness, I just want to know, what did you find joy in today?
Enjoying today. Well, I had a chicken sandwich, so that was
Okay.
pretty tasty.
Hey, you know what?
Uh,
It doesn't have to be anything special. It can be a chicken sandwich that makes you happy, and that is okay.
yes, no, aside from waking up and just tottering about there and having a bit of lunch and then getting all fixed up for your show there, that's about my day so far.
Sometimes simple days are great, and it's always a good thing. And I think one of those things that we do as adults is we forget that we should take a moment to appreciate and to realize that even in the bad times there's still something good out there. There's still something
Indeed.
positive, whether we see it directly or not, but it's there. So when I ask that question, it's kind of a way to, even when things are going odd or you're shutting down or you're struggling, it's really easy to forget to find something every day that's positive.
Well, I suppose if we could look back in time there a few days, yes, I've been following a collector retro bacon there on
Okay.
Instagram,
Yeah.
and she kindly offered to get me a motherboard figure there. And I was like, oh, yes, I'll fix you up and pay you back there. She goes, oh, not a bother there. I'll help you out there. And I was like, well, thank you there. I have to make up a little thank you package for that. So, and that's a good thing. It's come out of meeting new people in the community there and hanging out with them more. And of course, Axion Figs there offering his services to a few of us to find old Mossy Boy there. So I suppose it's some positive joy aspects also. And I suppose it was that unexpected outcome from Mattel Creations there after I was a bit bewildered after not being able to order the Micron figure for these three other fellows that paid me their money and they gave me their split share of the postage to get
Well,
their Microns and
at least I
on the
was able to
day
help you out with what.
we couldn't order it, you see, and because it turns out that attorney and a few other countries have been blocked from buying anything on Mattel Creations. So indeed,
Yeah, I don't get
you were
that.
able
That's
to help out with one fellow there. So he reported that he got his Micron figure okay. The other two fellows, of course, I just refunded their money because they said they just don't look on the old eBay there. So I trust they sorted themselves out. But
yeah.
yes, I that's what I've been usually doing since the Kemo Khan exclusive drop. They're just
Yeah,
helping
it's bad when
anyone
you
else
have to go to
as long as they
eBay.
fall into as long as they fall into the customer allotment that Mattel Creations
Yeah,
has. Two or three per customer, then I can usually
yeah,
help two or three other
yeah.
people
That
out
never
there.
helps when you got a limit. But I can see why they do limit. I mean, it's the same thing with Joe. GI Joe has limits. There
Mm.
is a guy on Joe's that I will, when we're done here, I'll talk to you about. Somebody, he's in Taiwan, so might be cheaper to get it shipped from Taiwan to Eternia.
Yes, eh?
So
I'll let
I
Sergeant Slowdall know there. He'll be keen
he
on
does
that
GI
indeed.
Joes, but it's not Mattel, but
Yes,
it
yes.
is GI Joe. So I'll give you the information for him and see what we can't do for that
Except
one.
for the made to order sales, of course, at one down there, I was able to order
Yeah.
a bit more, so I got one extra for myself, and there were four other fellows there, and one person wanted two, so then it ended up being seven $1 in total. Bit of a $1 wall popped up
That's
at
a
the
lot of
front
one
door.
dollars.
Yeah.
That's a lot of $1 to make me $1.
Yes. So
But
there
with
you go.
that,
Got
sir, I
this,
do
and
appreciate you coming on tonight.
but how about one more thing there?
Okay.
Usually, a magician doesn't tell his secrets or do his reveals there. So I was wondering if you're ready for a bit of a magic reveal there,
If
Aaron. So,
if you're ready, I can do it. Let me give it a second, and it is loading slowly.
here I'm
Apparently,
about
it's
to.
not loading at all. Why is it not loading?
Is my magic
Okay,
not
why is it
working
not
there?
loading? Why is it not loading? It loaded fine earlier. It never fails. All right, come on. See, I don't know. I give up. It's not loading right.
Hang on there.
Okay.
I'll try and see if I can boost my spell a bit.
All right, we'll try that. There we go.
The power returns. So, this is the real me under the mask.
It is a
Um,
pleasure to meet you.
my name's Warren, and I have autism and severe depression. So I knew it was probably going to come to this at some stage, and I had a friend tell me I should have my face on when I'm doing my YouTube videos, but I didn't feel confident enough, and I don't feel I really have the face or normal personality to be doing YouTube videos, so that's why I created a bit of a personality instead to help
Warren,
me do
I
my
think you're gonna be fine.
YouTube videos and mix with other people a bit easier.
Warren, you should see the people in the chat. They're saying it's nice to meet you. It is nice to finally meet you. And they're saying it's good to meet you. And some people are saying hello. I can't
Mm.
tell you how brave this is for you because it's an extremely brave act you just did.
I felt a bit uncomfortable when you mentioned it might mean revealing my true self or something on your show,
Yeah.
but I thought I'd try cope with it, and usually as I like to have a bit of entertainment go on there normally when I use my style of presentation like that wee transformation um clip that I edited today.
Mm-hmm. See, everybody is saying that they're glad that you've chosen this and that it's good to meet you. And I'm glad that you chose to do this on my show because this is a safe place for you.
But yeah,
And
I'm in looking around on YouTube. I've seen people that wear masks, like the guy that has the moduloc mask and the Scientology guy with where he wears a skeletal costume.
yeah,
And I've seen one or two others do similar things, and especially like Mr. Home Arcade with his
yeah.
avatar picture.
Hmm.
So I mixed all those things in there, and of course, I mentioned I used to watch just some YouTubers for before I brought a figure. I also began following a few like Go with the Transformers and the Lazy
Hmm.
Eyebrow Reviewer, then Mega J Retro and Mad Hatter. I liked his comedy,
Hmm.
so I thought I'd mix a whole lot of like his aspects and those that are more comfortable wearing
Hmm.
masks
Yeah.
when they present their YouTube. So I decided to base much of my presentation on all of those different YouTubers.
And that's cool. I appreciate that, Warren. I do. I do. I love the characters. It's fun stuff. And you being you right now is an extremely impressive thing. And I appreciate you doing that. And you have a lot of friends in the community who would watch your videos regardless because it's you. You know that, right?
Yeah,
And I think being you, even when you're being Eldor, is still being you because there's parts of you that are him. Or when you're being Qui, or when you're being the Predator, or when you're being any of the other costumes that you've worn, you're still you. And you don't need to be afraid of being you because your friends, which we are all friends, will support you. That's what we're here for. And we
um,
appreciate and value
it's been
your
very
friendship.
hard being on my own for a very long time, and I don't really have any friends to do anything around with here. So I
It's
suppose
understandable.
finding toy community on YouTube helps sometimes.
And that's good. I mean, we're here to help you. We're here to be, a resource for you. And we appreciate so much when you come in a chat. I mean, you see how many people, as soon as you show up in the chat, they're saying hello. You know that. You know these people care.
Yeah,
So it's good that that you did this, but that doesn't mean that Eldor has to go away. You know that,
no,
right?
I,
Eldor is a cool character.
Eldor will never go away, that's for sure.
That's good.
I'm
So
back. Yes.
Oz has made a point that Eldor sketches are the best, but he loves spending time with Warren as well. So
Oh,
your friends are
indeed.
here.
Yeah.
And Nolan, you're so very talented, and it's a pleasure to have you as a friend. More.
It's good knowing you there, Nolan. Thank you. Thank you
You've
all
got
indeed.
friends here, Jeremy J. and Action Figs, Ed. We're
Excel Pixels
always
is a good
here,
server there.
brother. You are a
Hmm.
beautiful, talented human being, and you should be proud of who you are and how talented you are.
Yes, indeed. I do have my proud points there. What I've been able to do here and there and so forth. And, yes, bearing all there, you might say, there today.
And Eldor, Jeremy J says Eldor is a great gimmick, much like the pro wrestlers of the old days, and it is. It's a fantastic gimmick.
I thought about being. So he thought about being something else. He couldn't be, Orko. There, he couldn't float about, and
That one might be a little more
could
complicated.
it be some odd coloured monster there,
And Ray
and
Paz
maybe
says we
a bit of a
appreciate
web
what you
store
bring to the
or a
community.
snout spout maybe, but yes, this seemed like the logical choice there.
Yeah. Now, Oz is going to give us the statement before we leave, and I think this is the important one. We aren't going anywhere, whether it's Eldor or Warren joining us. You know that, right?
Thank you. Yes, indeed.
I just want you to know that. And Allison Troy brings up a good point as well. It's like Adam and He-Man, same heart and soul, just a different presentation as needed for the moment.
Yes,
And
and
this,
as I told you there yesterday, just like Prince Adam there,
yeah,
only four others this time knew the secret, and that was when I first met Oz on his first episode there for Legion's class. So yes, only those four fellows knew the secret, as it were.
and and that's okay. I mean, it's. I'm glad you chose to do it, and I'm proud of you. And I understand your hesitation and why you wear the mask. I understand it. I get it. I mean, I struggle. My masks aren't physical; mine are mental. So I understand it every day.
Of course,
Um,
yes.
so with that all being said, I want to thank you very much. I
And not a
appreciate what
problem.
you've
Yes,
done,
it's been good being on the show with you.
and everybody is here for you. And Carol is glad she didn't miss the stream tonight because this was
It's
important
been
for
good
people
having
to
you on
see.
there, Carol. Thank you.
So I want to remind everybody, if you can be anything, choose to be kind.
And be excellent to each other, like a Bill
Be
and Ted there.
excellent to each other. And we will see you all next week. Next week will be a little bit different. I will be doing a build in progress of a dio with brick something at the moment. We'll see if it stays that way.
Oh,
It
jolly
may
good
be
there.
more people. But I know at least brick, unless he changes his mind. It's a possibility. I'm not holding my breath yet.
He might have a
But
bit of
let's
a class on there, perhaps. Maybe
yeah,
not.
we're gonna work on a dio. I'm working on my dio. He's working on his dio. I've got to draw mine out and figure out what we're gonna do. So, Eleanor, what do you have going on this next? You got anything special going on for your channel?
Well, I haven't released any action figure reviews there of late. I've been keeping up appearances with a few unboxing videos, but I do have one review that's in the recording stage and in editing
Okay.
stage. And of course, as the foremost mentioned on my new segment there, custom figure time. So I'm
All righty.
currently in filming the first two episodes of that. We did a special one there for Mr. Wonderful there. I think it was last week there to talk about his Hexastacks
Yeah,
action figure display systems there. So check out Mr. Wonderful there. He's got his Kickstarter up and
he
going there
does.
for his display stands.
I
And
backed it.
yes,
So
custom figure time. That will be, as I said, filming as I do my customs there, and maybe doing a few pointers. And I also have Eldor Bob. He's doing all the painting there,
oh, okay.
and what have you, and painting a few happy trees, as they say.
Hey, happy trees, happy accidents. All of
Yes,
them works together.
many hands make light work there, as they say.
Exactly. Well, with that, I will say good night to everybody, and here's the outro. And
And
I will
party on, dudes.
party on, dudes. We will
Good
see you
journey.
next week.